Good morning and welcome to Daily Reflection with Aneel Aranha. Today is the 6th of February 2018 and we're going to reflect on Mark chapter 7, 1 to 13. Very long, but here it is in its entirety. Now when the Pharisees and some of the scribes who had come from Jerusalem gathered around him, they noticed that some of his disciples were eating with defiled hands, that is, without washing them. For the Pharisees and all the Jews do not eat unless they thoroughly wash their hands, thus observing the tradition of the elders. And they do not eat anything from the market unless they wash it. And there are also many other traditions that they observe, the washing of cups, pots, and bronze kettles. So the Pharisees and the scribes asked him, "Why do your disciples not live according to the tradition of the elders, but eat with defiled hands?" He said to them, "Isaiah prophesied rightly about you hypocrites, as it is written, 'This people honors me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. In vain do they worship me, teaching human precepts as doctrines. You abandon the commandment of God and hold to human tradition.' Then he said to them, 'You have a fine way of rejecting the commandment of God in order to keep your tradition. For Moses said, honor your father and your mother, and whoever speaks evil of father or mother must surely die. But you say, if anyone tells father or mother, whatever support you might have had from me is korban, that is an offering to God, then you no longer permit doing anything for a father or mother, thus making void the word of God through your tradition that you have handed on. And you do many things like this." The Gospel of the Lord. When I was a boy, I watched a lovely movie called Fiddler on the Roof, starring Topol as Tevye. Tevye was a poor Jewish milkman living in a small Ukrainian village with his rather large family. He, like everybody else in his village, was hooked to traditions handed down by their ancestors for ages. In one wonderful segment, Tevye explains one of the traditions. He says, "For instance, we always keep our heads covered and always wear a little prayer shawl. This shows our constant devotion to God." Then he adds, "You may ask, how did this tradition get started? I'll tell you, I don't know." That's the problem with tradition. We don't know why we do things. Following traditions is not a bad thing, provided we understand why we do what we do. Otherwise, they can not only become very meaningless exercises, they can be downright stupid. Now, about the time I watched Fiddler on the Roof, about 35 years ago, I used to be told by my mother not to cut my nails in the night or snakes would come into the house. Have you ever heard anything so ridiculous? Now, if you are over a certain age, I'm pretty sure you've heard this story or a variation of this. Why? Because in my grandmother's time, they didn't have nail clippers and they didn't have electricity. They had to cut their nails using razor blades. And if one cut nails in the night in poor light, there was a chance one would slice one's fingers off. So you see, traditions aren't bad in themselves, but know why you keep them. These reflections are a great way of discovering why, so stay tuned. And yeah, watch Fiddler on the Roof. You'll love it. God bless you.